Society and most people in today's age just totally misread boldness, being courageous, and all these things. They just misread them so hard. And you're always taught that we look at these people that moved when others didn't, these people that were these great historical figures, these people that were like these great leaders, and these people that are just seen as these great 0.000.2 of the population, which they are, but they're seemed out to be this rare type that you must be born this way. But it's always the exact opposite. It's just never true. But they're not different at all. They were afraid too. They just decided to move anyways. Caesar at the Rubicon, Napoleon walking towards men that were sent to kill him, both were extremely afraid. Those weren't just some rare personality traits that they were born with. It's just a decision that they had to make. It was the ability to be able to make a fast decision and be very bold. Boldness is not having no fear. Boldness isn't being fearless, not feeling any fear. Fearlessness just means you just clearly haven't registered what's going on, or you just haven't took enough time to look at the risk or what's maybe on the line, whether it's your life, whether it's a financial risk you're making in a business, whatever it might be. Boldness is only boldness because there's fear involved with it. You're only bold if you take an action, take a decision, even when there isn't a certain outcome on the other side that you're going to win or that you're going to be okay. So there's always fear involved with bold. Every single person that is named these rare breeds that no one else, the normal person, can't be, also felt fear just like you did. Boldness is just when the fear is extremely present, but you just take action anyways. Confidence doesn't come from not moving at all. Confidence comes from taking action and being bold anyways. Confidence comes from constantly taking action. Confidence comes from being able to take actions and always trust yourself to make a hard decision when you need to. So confidence doesn't come from sitting around. Confidence comes from after you take action, after you get results, after you can actually trust yourself to make more fast decisions in the future and be more bold. And fear in today's age, the main thing that is involved with just being bold in general, is just there's always these excuses. There's always these reasonable answers for why you shouldn't move, for why I need to wait, or whatever it might be. Rarely do people actually say, I'm afraid. Most people actually just say, I need more information. The timing isn't right. There isn't as much opportunity as there was in the market 5 years ago. Or I didn't have good parents growing up, so that's why I act the way I do and never fix a problem. Or I want to be thorough. I'm being extremely cautious. But the thing is, it's just all these things that just end up being all these excuses people make for themselves just to not move. But I promise you're doing yourself a favor by moving. You're doing yourself by starting. You'll feel so much more confident. You'll feel so much better. The difference is between people that are able to just make decisions and are able to understand that, I'm just making excuses for myself, is real caution genuinely has a window. If there is real caution and you really got to be careful and there's something you got to do, you don't just sit there and make excuses because the timing isn't right or something. With real caution, you examine the risk. You see whether it makes sense or not. You see what could go wrong. You just get extremely clear on what bad could happen and what good, and then you just make your decision. You don't sit there and research and make excuses and then look back in 2 years and just see you're still in the same position. Fear will produce a loop. Fear will make you keep researching, making excuses, and just researching over and over and over again. Because if you've been almost ready for a very long time, I promise you are not almost ready. You're just extremely afraid. You're just not willing to be bold and take action. Caesar at the Rubicon is a great example. The year is 49 BC. Julius Caesar has been running military campaigns for Rome for about 10 years. He's got an army that's just extremely loyal to him, but his enemies are waiting for him back in Rome. And the second he tries to come home as a regular citizen, they're going to try to put him on trial, which that trial would destroy every single thing that he'd built. and there was a law that no Roman general could bring his army across a certain river, which was the Rubicon into Italy. And crossing that river with your army would not be a smart idea at all, because it would be like war on your own country. It just wouldn't make sense. And there was just no gray area that his soldiers or his army could cross the river or the Rubicon with him. So he was all alone. And he crossed anyways. And right before he crossed, he said, "The die is cast." He didn't say, "I'm going to win." He didn't say, "I'm extremely confident." He just said, "The die is cast," meaning the dice have been already rolled. There's nothing he can do, and there's just no turning back. The difference was he wasn't certain that he would win at all. He was just certain that he had to move, that he had to make a decision, because sitting here still is just going to lead to the demise of him anyways. And the decision was just crossing the Rubicon, not the outcome. And that's a great example of always entering action with boldness, is that he was extremely scared. He was extremely fearful. And another great example is Napoleon at La Ferie. Napoleon at one point was the emperor of France. He gets defeated and then they just exile him. They strip him of everything and they send him to a small island, but he escapes. He lands back in France with 1,000 men, and the whole entire French army was just ordered to stop him, either just arrest him or just kill him. But he marches anyways towards a town called La Ferie, and then there's a full lineup of soldiers just waiting for him across the road, weapons up, just waiting for him. But then Napoleon gets off his horse. He walks towards them alone with no guards, no soldiers, no other person there to help him. And he walks close enough to the point where they could just literally kill him. And then he opens his coat, he exposes his chest, and he says, "If there's any soldier among y'all that would kill your emperor, here I am." Basically saying, if there's any single soldier here that's willing to kill their emperor or their ex-emperor, kill me now. Just do it. And it just made an extremely risky decision. And then the line just broke. The soldiers couldn't do it, and then they ended up actually joining his side. And then 20 days later, he was already back in France without firing a single shot or doing anything crazy. That wasn't absence of fear. That wasn't him not being extremely scared. He just knew if he didn't move, he was already finished. He just done for. So he had to make a fast decision. And so he literally moved in a way that just made hesitation impossible for anyone watching. And that's just another great example of every single great mind, or all these great minds that you read books about or you just kind of know of. They've done a lot of great things, and they're just looked at as these one-of-a-kind great people, and they were, but they're no different from you, is what I'm trying to say. Everyone can be like this, because every single one of them had fear. Every single one of them was so scared. Every single one of them was just literally facing death. But the one thing they all had in common, they just knew they needed to move. No matter if there was literally no outcome that they had already had planned, they just knew they had to move. Even if they couldn't see past them moving, they just had to move. Otherwise, they were already finished. So they moved in a way that just made hesitation impossible. Napoleon, Caesar, these are just two great examples of having fear, of being extremely scared, but they were just able to be very bold and make a decision. And then also something very important is, something extremely important to just know that most people believe is that waiting generates information. Waiting doesn't generate any information whatsoever. The only thing that generates information is moving. So much people just sit still, deliberately plan, research, watch 1,000 YouTube videos over and over, make 20 different plans over a week, and they just keep restarting and just hoping there's a different outcome. And the situation outside just still hasn't changed. If anything, they've just dug themselves so much deeper than they already were. The moment you move, the world actually responds. And that information will always be inaccessible before you move. This is why bold people seem so much more confident than their situation warrants. It's just that they've moved before. They know that action creates clarity, that thinking can, and researching and planning and just sitting and just not doing anything can. The fear doesn't shrink while you sit. The fear only shrinks once you actually move. And yes, of course, bold people are still extremely confident in any of these situations. They might just seem extremely confident for some situations that would just be so scary for most people, but I promise you, yes, they are extremely confident, but they're only extremely confident because they've been in this position before and they know that taking action actually leads to clarity. So every single person that feels fear right now were once in the same position they were too. So if anything, you should be grateful for that. You should be grateful for the fact that you even got yourself in this position where all these great minds once were. And the way to be one of them is just by moving and taking action. And then the next time, and then the next time, and the next time, you're so much more confident because you already know how you get the outcome you want, and it's just by taking action. But sometimes maybe it's a 95% chance the outcome is going to go horrible or that it's unclear, but you know you still have to move, because either way, if you don't move, then 100% chance that you're going to get destroyed in whatever it might be. But overall, this video is just about you're making excuses for yourself, and you just have to learn how to just break that, because everyone experiences it too. These great minds or whatever, they aren't special. They don't have these rare personality traits that were just given to them. Everything in our life just gets built from our decisions, from our past, from what we've gone through. Like, people with tons of wisdom, they've usually been through tons of pain and just tons of experiences. These people that are super bold, they've just been through tons of situations where they had to make a decision when there's just no clear outcome. You're waiting for a cleaner version, smaller risk, better timing, outcome being visible before you even take action. That version isn't coming, and it never does. Fear does not respond to patience at all. It only responds to movement. So the certainty that you're waiting for will only happen when you finally decide to take action instead of not moving. Caesar knew this, Napoleon knew this, and they stood at stakes far, far bigger than most of us will ever have to experience in our life. But anyways, I hope this video genuinely helped. It was just a very important video I wanted to make because we all experience fear. We all experience times where we just don't want to take action. We experience times where we're so scared, where the outcome isn't clear, or when there's random things that just pop up in our face and then we have to try to figure all these things out. It was a recent problem for me back like a month and a half ago. So that's why I wanted to make this video, because I'm always going to be transparent. Every single thing that I experience, all the hard times, all of these random different times, I want to be able to share them and help other people from my mistakes and what I've learned from only constantly moving. So the fear you're experiencing will only get destroyed when you just start to move. And the outcome gets so much more clear when you actually start to move. So yeah, but that is the end of this video. Feel free to comment if you just want to say anything, or subscribe if you want to keep following the journey, whatever it might be. I'll see you on the next video.